All right, here we go. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, I greatly appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. Show number 2, and this is why you subscribe to the channel. The content never stops. The NFL has become a booming business with juicy storylines pretty much year-round, and I have you covered on a daily basis talking all things Niners right here on the channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Coming up, Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, has some new reporting on the Brock Purdy contract situation and the Brandon Aiyuk trade front. Jordan Schultz famously got into that scuffle in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine, a little bit of a verbal exchange with Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network at that Starbucks at the Marriott. And I know that he's the son of former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz. Read Howard Schultz's book. Very good. How Starbucks came about. Very fascinating story. But I have to give Jordan Schultz some credit here. He has really grown quickly as an NFL insider. He could have just worked off of the success of his father and done something else, maybe with Starbucks or another high-level corporation. Instead, he decided to become an NFL insider. Now, he probably knows a lot of people in NFL circles, thanks to his dad, but as somebody who's in the media business, it's not easy. You have to get grimy. You have to work hard. You have to grind. Nothing really is given to you. It can be hard, arduous work, and Jordan Schultz has found a lot of success in a short amount of time. It wasn't long ago when I was in Arizona for the Super Bowl where I saw Schultz walking around at the Super Bowl Radio Row Convention Center in Arizona, and I forget where he was working at that time, but it wasn't for a big network or publication, but he's really been able to rise up the ranks very quickly to the point where now he's writing for Fox Sports with this article that we're about to go through. He makes frequent appearances on The Herd on FS1, and he's become a trusted source for breaking NFL stories. In free agency, he's broken multiple of them before the likes of Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and some of the other notable NFL insiders. So credit to him. And Jordan, if you're watching the show, happy to have you on at any point because I'm a fan of what you do. And let's give you a shout out with some of the news that he has to pass along here. The headline of the article, NFL Confidential, where the 49ers stand with Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk. And he started off by saying no team was hit harder in free agency than the San Francisco 49ers. No team was as aggressive as the New England Patriots. I explore the latest on both clubs in my column, as well as one of the NFL's top draft prospects. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the Patriots here, although the signing of Stephon Diggs, I think, rules out New England as a Brandon Aiyuk trade destination. As we know, the Niners have to make that decision by April 1st because he's due roster bonuses of more than $24-25 million each of the next 2 years if he's on the team on April 1. And so with the Patriots signing Diggs and giving him a lot of guaranteed money, I believe it was $26 million in guaranteed money, I don't think New England goes after Brandon Aiyuk now. We'll get to Aiyuk here in a few moments. Let's begin with Brock Purdy, though. And Jordan Schultz says, Purdy secure. That's how he began this portion of the column. And he said there's no doubt who the 49ers quarterback of the future is, Brock Purdy. While sources don't believe a contract extension is imminent, Fox Sports has learned that both sides are actively negotiating with the intent to finalize a deal before the 2025 season. Couple of takeaways there from that snippet, right? No doubt who the 49ers quarterback of the future is, Brock Purdy. While sources don't believe a contract extension is imminent, Fox Sports has learned that both sides are actively negotiating with the intent to finalize a deal before the 2025 season. I will say, the Niners and Purdy have been negotiating for a really long time. We were hearing reports in February about them having conversations. When we were at the NFL Combine, John Lynch said that they were continuing to have contract negotiations and conversations, although he did say at the NFL Combine, it's not a guarantee that we sign him. And now we hear again, the conversations are still ongoing. The timeline here is what's interesting with Purdy, because Schultz says before the 2025 season. When is that going to be? The 2025 season is not until September. And so here we are about to embark on April, May, June, July, August. The Niners will report the training camp at the end of July. I think it's really important for San Francisco and Purdy to get that deal done by then at the latest. You can't go into training camp not having your quarterback under contract or not knowing what the future of the quarterback position is with Purdy. Even for OTAs and minicamp, I think it's important to get a deal done before then, and that's the spring, which is right around the corner, to just get it out of the way, to get rid of any potential awkwardness. More from Schultz here. Could it happen before next month's NFL draft? It's possible, but as one league source put it, quote, there's not a rush. The bigger question is, what will the terms be? This is big here. Schultz says, earlier in the 2024 season, it seemed impossible that Purdy could surpass Dak Prescott's $60 million annual clip with the Cowboys if he had another stellar campaign and deep playoff run. While that now seems less likely, multiple sources insist that Purdy could still land anywhere between 50 and 55 million, potentially more. I think that it would be bad news for the Niners as an organization and their team-building strategy if Purdy's contract was $59 or $60 million. It really does prohibit you, albeit with an increasing salary cap, of building the rest of your team. We saw in 2023, when a lot of marquee players were out on that offense, Purdy struggled. Purdy is not a player who can make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Purdy needs good complementary pieces around him. And so when you pay a quarterback $60 million, it waters down the rest of your roster. That's exactly what has happened with the Dallas Cowboys. They have now given Dak Prescott 2 huge contract extensions. They've gotten cheap outside of the quarterback, and that team has been lacking talent for a really long time. And so if the Niners can get Purdy between 50 and 55 million, I think there's really good value there. That's more than Kyler Murray, and it's right in the neighborhood of quarterbacks who I think Purdy is better than: Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love. And so that would be a win for the Niners and for Purdy if he's between 50 and 55. That is a ton of money, and if I'm Purdy, not only do I want a bag, of course, he's been one of the best bargain deals across the NFL. After he was a 7th-round pick, he hasn't made $1 million in a season yet. So he's trying to cash in. But if I'm Purdy, I want to win. And I know that the state taxes in California are crazy, right? Cost of living is a lot. But it is still so much money that you were getting, where even if you're making 50 to 55 million, the Niners can give you talent to make you happier, to make your situation better. And as a competitor, that's what I want. I want to be able to win. Tom Brady, for so long in New England, it became famous over time, took less money to load up on the rest of the roster. Dude won 7 championships. And so if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm trying to take that similar approach. I'm not going to get insulted or disrespected by an offer, but I want to get compensated. More from Schultz. If recent history is any guide, a new deal could take some time. For Nick Bosa's extension, San Francisco waited until the day before the 2023 season. That's false. They signed him, I think, on the Wednesday, the week of the season opener. Brandon Aiyuk's negotiations dragged on for months, only to be resolved a week before the year. Trent Williams' contract talks were also difficult last year, and Deebo Samuel also had his own drawn-out process 3 years ago. Here's what a current general manager told Fox Sports. I really just think Kyle and John want to get this done. The final number will be tricky. but the cap is rising and the quarterback market is only going up, which is another reason. If you get Purdy at 55, 50 million, and then quarterbacks start to cash in for 65, 70 per year, Patrick Mahomes got a $500 million contract a few years ago at $500 million. It is not out of the realm of possibility for a quarterback at some point in the next 5 years to land $1 billion contract. It'll be a long-term deal, but if a team is very sure that that quarterback is the answer, Mahomes got $500 million a few years ago. If the NFL continues to grow, $1 billion contract over 10 years is not crazy to think about. And so that's why Purdy at 55 million, if the salary cap continues to go up and he continues to play this well, can end up being a really good deal for the Niners. And then that NFL GM continued to say, after the year they've had with the losing, injuries, Aiyuk, trading Debo, I'm not sure they have the stomach to have another contentious negotiation in the media. I agree. Could it be a hometown discount? Perhaps a little, the general manager said. But Purdy's getting paid. That's a fact. The benefit the Niners have is that he's been playing on a very team-friendly deal, so maybe he takes a little less to lock in long-term security. That would be good. Schultz also added, earlier this month, the Niners lost both of last year's backup quarterbacks in free agency, Brandon Allen to Tennessee, Josh Dobbs to New England, so they signed Mac Jones to a 2-year deal. This story comes full circle in a way, as it's well known in league circles that Kyle Shanahan was enamored with Jones in the 2021 draft. They were serious, and there were serious discussions about taking him at number 3 before the team ultimately pivoted to Trey Lance, a move that didn't pan out. Isn't this crazy? A CFL team is trying to sign Trey Lance. I don't think that he can be a backup in the NFL. I think he has to go somewhere where he can play. He's not going to play in the NFL. He might have to go to the CFL. Isn't that crazy? It's one of the worst trade-ups in the history of the draft. Schultz continues. Now Jones and Shanahan are finally together, but let's be clear, this is Purdy's team, and Jones is strictly there as a backup. His addition will have no bearing on Purdy's impending extension. Some people tried to have the conversation, is Mac Jones being brought in to compete with Brock Purdy? I never bought that. And then Schultz has some info on Brandon Aiyuk as well. Things are a bit more tenuous, however, between the Niners and their wide receiver 1. Sources indicate that the Niners are open to trading Aiyuk, a terrific player who will certainly be motivated, and there has been communication with several teams. However, trading for Aiyuk's contract coming off an ACL tear is a tall order, and most believe it is unlikely. The timing here is crucial. Aiyuk has that guaranteed option bonus of nearly $23 million that triggers on April 1st. So it's $23 million for this year and over $25 million for next year. I was trying to think about those numbers earlier, making it harder to move him afterward. It would be a pretty big surprise for me, a personnel director, said about an Aiyuk trade. So again, unlikely. With that contract, with the injury, I could totally see why teams are not all over the Niners phone line in trying to trade for Aiyuk. There's too much risk there. And so I think a Purdy extension gets done at some point. That's always been my prediction. I think Aiyuk most likely on this team in 2025. But we're going to know in the next few days about Aiyuk's future. Is it with the Niners? Is it not? Because the roster bonuses are due. $23 million for 2025, over $25 million for 2026 if he's on the team April 1st. So that is the date to keep in mind. Wanted to hop on the mic in front of the camera to talk about this report. Obviously, some juicy stuff from Jordan Schultz. Don't forget to hit that sub button whenever there's big news out there. I always have you covered.